Behind me is hundreds of hours of work put into a rolling piece of art. This is a Porsche 928 that we've wide-bodied and are doing other fantastical metal shaping work too. Fantastical is quite the adjective to choose here. So this week, we're gonna be working on the rear end of the car, which is the spoiler and caps. As you can see, we have gaping holes on both sides of the car to fill, cap off, make sure they're completely symmetrical, and have an OEM quality finish. On 3 of the 4 corners of the car, we've already gone ahead and done the metal work for the wide body. The rear quarter panels are welded on and mostly finished out. The passenger side fender is made roughly and not quite ready to be welded on, and the driver's side still in clay. The front and rear bumpers are going to be custom composites. They're still sitting in clay as we wait on some further details. And we also have plans for a complete custom interior that we'll be working on in the near future.
Cryo chamber.
It is cold in here today. The heat is not working. I think the thermostat says like 52 degrees or something in here, which I guess 52 degrees isn't that bad when you're like physically doing a lot of things, but I just got here and drank cold coffee, so I'm cold. Logan, are you cold? Yeah, actually you're gonna be extra cold because you're not swinging hammers, you're holding the camera all day, so you're gonna be extra cold.
Yeah.
Guess you'll just have that on these bigger jobs. We already have spoiler pieces made. And by made, I mean they are rough. They're just roughed in pieces that are oversized. It's funny how like these little pieces are actually a ton of work. Make it all flow correctly and look right and be symmetrical and not rust later. Many of you have asked, I saw in the comments, for like sometimes time scale or whatnot on how much time we put into these parts. Not an easy way to do that because of jumping around and everything else, but I will say that this is gonna happen over the span of a couple days, so you can use that for scale reference or whatever. Banana for scale, I don't know. And also, I'm gonna put this on the other piece there, all nice and butt welded, and also cap the end just like this too, with a nice gap. So there's a lot to go on here, and there's also a lot to go wrong. What I'm doing here is I'm just framing over and over again by running my finger along the edge of the window here where the jamb is, and then letting it kind of float the marker and then kind of adjusting the distance based off what I need, so that I can then cut this panel back and leave myself a little bit of a gap to this edge, so when I scribe and cut it and weld it, it's really close to the edge but not the peak of the edge. I don't really want to weld in the peak of the edge, so here's Roger! Pow! Don't forget Roger, because he hasn't forgotten you. Just do like an ad for Roger. My life was bleak without Roger. Dude, like he's like a cult leader or something like that. Kind of is at this point. There's our line. All right, I'm gonna trim this line back. I'm gonna leave this tab here just for location for now. I can cut it off later. When I cap it, I'd like to keep this to stay. If I leave this floating, even if I have this all welded here, it's still gonna flop around. I don't want it to flop around for now. No cap. What cap? Because it's capped. And I'm trying to fit in with the youth these days.
What are you talking about? Don't feel that bad.
Well, just stand here. Like, hang out with us for 5 minutes.
Feels fine.
That's what he was just saying. He was like, I gotta start doing some jumping jacks. We're just talking about that because
Just got our heat lamps today to keep us warm.
You got all these
Like
lights,
reptiles.
you're fine. Start welding.
that's not gonna warm me up at all. It just warmed my fingertips. When we're working hard in the shop, we need high quality food. This video has been sponsored and paid for by ButcherBox.
Meat and seafood from ButcherBox checks all the boxes. It's versatile, it's delicious, and it's got everything I'm looking for when it comes to quality, like 100% grass-fed beef. They also have free-range chicken, pork that's raised crate-free, and wild-caught seafood. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
Thanks, Tony.
Oh, you got it.
Right now, ButcherBox is offering new members an incredible deal.
Pretty good.
2 pounds of ground beef, 3 pounds of chicken wings, and 2.8 pounds of St. Louis ribs for free with your first order.
This deal is only available until March 19th, so sign up today.
Hit the link in the description down below to get started. Gotta fix this a little bit. Quack, quack, duckbill pliers. I don't know why you guys let me speak on camera. So, we have both of the spoiler tops located. So I think now the next step is like what Tony and I were discussing, is to weld the tops on, and then afterwards figure out the underside. To weld it on, I'm gonna have to cut back all the sheet metal underneath. I'm also gonna have to do my typical strategy of scribing it, cutting it, and then welding it. The 3 steps, the 3 staples to coach building. And it's like Harry Potter, you know, the Deathly Hallows, if anyone knows that reference, but it's like the Weldly follows, the 3 steps. You got Weldly follow these. I don't know, man. There's gotta be a reference there somewhere that makes sense. I'm just gonna call them the Deathly Hallows of welding.
The weld.
The Deathly Weld blows, the Weldly swallow. What? That doesn't make any sense. I love this little tab here. That keeps this thing gapped right. It's the little things that just make the job easier.
It's the little things on these big jobs.
It's the little things on these big jobs that you'll have on these bigger jobs. If you're new here and you're not aware of my 3-step patented, not patented process to welding success, I spray dye-chem bluing down on the parent material, which is the material that's already attached to the body of the car. And then I take a scribe and then I scribe the edge, just like so. The point of this blue dye-chem is to make the scribe line extremely visible, and a scribe line is much better than using like a Sharpie or any other marker because it's very thin. So all I gotta do now is cut the panel back to the edge of that scribe line, and then I'll have a very crisp butt edge. Nice crisp butt. Hey! So they're like the Deathly Hallows of welding. I noticed in the comments, some of you have asked which air saw this is. This is an Eastwood Air Saw. I will link it in the description below. And the air saw blades we're using are actually Ingersoll Rand blades. Just like that. That should be plenty good. Pull that a little bit there. I need a little bit of pressure to line up, but it'll be good too. Now look. It's the welder we're giving away at the end of this video. Not time yet, just wait till we get there. It'll be worth it, I promise. I'm just running over that microfiber rag like it owes me money or something.
Oh, brutal.
Finish it.
Indexing and pry bar for the win. I love these things. Indexing and pry bars. The pry bar, you push the button, change your angle. They're fantastic for rear axis and panels to kind of massage it where you need it to be. You can even use it as a dolly if you need to, but what I'm doing here is I know I have a low spot from it shrinking down and warping down from the heat, so I'm just gonna use this to massage it up nice and level, almost like I'm doing PDR. I mean, it's kind of like paintless dent removal because there's no paint. That's a good one. That's a good one there, Logan. That's quality entertainment right there that people want. Got like 2 inches of movement behind, not even. It's like,
Yeah.
but it's still enough. We do have the new piece though to fix the heater, hopefully. The igniter like blew up in the other one, so the hardware store told me, don't touch the black part of it, you're gonna ruin it. And I wasn't gonna touch it before, but I kinda want to now. Only because they told me not to. I never really considered shaking a baby until you said that. All right, so now it's time for the next step, which is the underside.
Oh.
I don't keep calling them the eyebrows because I think they're pretty much eyebrows to the back of the car. So I gotta figure out these eyebrows, and before we even touch them, now is officially time to get this final line figured out on both sides. So I'm gonna run the tape on one side, make a tape pattern. After I'm happy with the shape, then I'm gonna take the tape pattern and flip it to the other side. That should get us pretty much symmetrical. Or I'll just find out that's not symmetrical and then I'll be really sad. So this tape is what I used for the width of the top here, or the end of the spoiler rather. You can kind of see it's the same width. So the goal here is to continue that. There's a little gap there, that's okay. Kind of like that. So as long as I take this tape and follow the edge here, it'll get the same pattern onto here. So I should be good. Now, you will notice that this is cut back too far. So I'm gonna have to fill that gap later. But that's an easy fix. All right, so the problem I ran into right now is that this arc right here, the arch, is a little bit farther back than it's supposed to be. You can see the line here where it's supposed to be. It's gonna fade up into there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna patch it first before I put the eyebrow on, because then I have this edge exactly where I want it to be, and then it's not gonna be a problem later. So I'm gonna show you a little trick here to make it a little bit easier. So rather than trying to just eyeball cut this and, you know, have a tiny little strip to weld to, I'm gonna take this piece of scrap metal, I'm gonna slide it behind here, leave myself extra space, and I'm just gonna trace, so I know it goes to here, but I'm gonna trace the panel, right? I know it goes down that tip there, but. So, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna cut this excess panel off, but right here, I'm gonna leave this extra meat here because when I weld this in, it's good to have extra metal left over to dissipate the heat. And then, after that, I can mark my line of what I want this arch to be, and then I can grind it back. If I do it that way, it's gonna be a little less painless. Well, painful. It's gonna be a little less painful. Okay, so now we have the two edges of the eyebrows sorted out. I'm gonna keep calling them eyebrows because they're pretty much eyebrows. Now is the fun part of trying to get this to fit in there. I don't want to do it. So this is obviously significantly oversized because when I make panels, I oversize them and then we address it and go from there. I'm thinking what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set it up in here, get it so that it sits nicely in the back side, because right now I have some gaps I gotta deal with. So do some twisting and whatnot to make it work. Once I have all that situated, I'm gonna go on the back side and try to just mark loosely where I'm going to go, just to the outside, so I can then trim it back, have less material left to deal with, and then I can kind of just work it in further and further and further until it's finally butted perfectly against this edge and butts against this edge as well, and then I can trim off the flange at the bottom, butt weld it there, butt weld it here, good to go. And then it just leaves the inside edge to be capped at the end. That's what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna try to do. But as all things go, sometimes you have some problems. So we'll see what happens here. Stake it down a couple spots here. So we can force it around now. That fits a lot better. You'll see right here is a bit of a gap. I think that's a job for Roger. I think Roger can kind of hit that back and twist it over. I don't think it needs stretched or anything. It just needs pushed into place. Roger! Aha! He's here, he's ready. I know which line to use, but you don't know which line to use. Haha! Yeah. Hello, Mr. Bond. But I didn't get enough spin there. I got that one. Anyway, I'm back to work. Look at that, look at this tapping in. Taps. Right where I wanted to go.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that, oh! It's the little things. I'm gonna start a new thing called the gap check. There it is. Gap check! So I have both sides welded. Now it's for the fun part. I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna grind all these welds nice and flush, clean it up, sand it out, and then after that we're gonna go through and get this gap consistent the whole way down through, which will be fun because I realized when I did this, I kind of trapped the deck lid. I have to actually cut it back before I can even open the deck lid now because it overlaps in a particular fashion, so that's fun. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that out after I grind all that. And then we'll dive into capping the ends.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is what I mentioned before too, that this corner is a little high. It should be down a little bit to match the flow of the rest of it. I will probably fix that as well before the end of this video. This is the cut and push it out and weld it thing. All right, so both gaps have been worked, and I've also went through and cut the edge of the tail and splayed it down and welded it back shut. So now it's a nice, when I put pressure on it, it's a nice flow from across the panels. And then I did it on both sides. So we're ready for the next step. The next step's gonna be taking a template of the inside. So this right here, you can see this is an open gap, right? So I'm gonna have to go through make a template of that, cut some sheet metal, weld it shut. Easy peasy. Now, there's one thing I gotta keep in mind, well, there's a bunch of things obviously, but one of the major things I gotta keep in mind here is when I cut my template out, I'm gonna be fitting it right in between these two panels, right? So it's gonna be sandwiched in here. And I have to decide if it's gonna stack on the outside of the panel, I'm gonna weld it, weld it against the top with it stacked on the outside, or if I'm gonna undersize it so it can fit inside of the panel and then I can weld it, because that's gonna play into how the gap changes and the thickness of a panel. So the panel's 19 gauge, which is pretty thin, but in the grand scheme of this gapping, it makes a difference. So I think what I'm gonna do actually is grind the edge of the spoiler itself on the body back the width of the panel that I end up cutting out, so then I can stack it on the outside, trace it and clean it up and go from there, because I think trying to fit it in the inside of the panel then welding it will be a lot tougher without it, falling through and whatnot. What do you think, Logan? Is that a good idea?
Yeah, I think so. That checks out.
You heard it here first, folks. All right. Onward and upward. Yeah, if I put it behind this flange, and just kind of pressure on here, get a nice 30 mark. Oh, a nice imprint to follow. Like that. I'll tack it a couple spots and I'll grind it down flush. Then I'll weld it. Then we'll do the other side. So, the moment that many of you have been waiting for, we said we're giving away a free Eastwood TIG 200 LCD TIG welder. And I think now's the time to select the winner. Unfortunately though, I did not think about how we're going to select the winner. I don't know if you have any ideas, Tony?
We'll let fate decide. I just happen to have a chance cube right here.
Actually, what we did was make a spreadsheet of all of the entries. Thank you everyone for all of your entries. We assigned a number to each one, used a random generator to pull from that, and number 270 was Daniel Runge. Congratulations, you won this Eastwood welder.
So we've got the rear end figured out. Now, the quarter panels are welded on, the spoiler is finished out and welded through the entire top. The rear bumper, on the other hand, is not there yet, obviously, and as well as applying the tires below. And there's some fettling to be done as well with the metalwork itself. Otherwise, I am extremely stoked with our progress this week. I mean, look at this. Having gaps here makes a huge difference in its presence and in how it all kind of fits and works together. Now, some exciting news. We just had a brand new Porsche project dropped off at the shop this afternoon. So you can look forward to another Widebody build coming to YouTube very shortly. So keep an eye out for more than just 928 content. And we have some other builds on the horizon as well. So don't worry, we're not a once and done thing here. We're gonna keep rolling on through. And as always, thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you next week.